There you go, guys. That's the last look we're going to have this year of the holiday season here at the Disneyland Resort. It is a Friday afternoon. It's about noon here on a Friday, December 6th. Next time we're in the park, those holiday decorations and theming will be gone. It'll be just good old classic Disneyland. The next time we come to the park, today we're going to be doing our State of Disneyland report. So join me as we tour the park and let you guys know what's happening at the Disneyland Resort as of this January 6, 2023. All coming up next on Fresh Baked. Like Disneyland van walking down Main Street. That always makes me happy. Let me get on this Main Street proper. Slide to the left. Okay, Fresh Baked. If you haven't seen our State of Disneyland report before, every month I like to come to the park and walk through every single land, check out every single attraction, sort of try to get a sense of what the park is. Hi guys, how are you? Say hi to a bunch of folks, obviously. But to check in on all the attractions, look at what the wait times are like, what the crowds are like, if there's any stories developing on any of those attractions as we move our way through the park, and make an assessment of how things are going in Disneyland. There's a guy with a giant camera making his way through Disneyland. That's a hell of a rig. And I can tell you so far as we walk through Main Street that there certainly feels like a lot less intensity and pressure as we noticed when we came back on January 2nd, but it's even more so today on this Friday afternoon. It's definitely not as dense as crowds as we saw leading up to the Christmas holiday. Just feels kind of relaxed and casual. It's early yet though, it's only noon. We'll see what happens by the time we're done with this at about 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Now before we head into Adventureland, our first land of the day, as we make our way around the hub, let's take a look first at the reservation calendar. We'll start with single-day tickets, multi-day tickets, that sort of thing. Looks pretty much wide open, which you might expect for January. The only day sold out is a park hopper for today, but otherwise you could buy a ticket for today, be that for DCA, but you still could come today if you wanted to. And then the rest of the month is pretty wide open. Meanwhile, for the Magic Keys, which I always just use Inspire Key as a reference, that's a little bit more booked up. Most of the weekends are taken. That's generally because of the Enchant and Believe Keys are trying to secure those dates where they might have a hard time getting weekend dates. So you always see the weekend dates get booked up first. But all the weekdays for January are clear, and almost I think all of February is clear. So it's about what you might expect for this part of the season, this part of the year. Fairly easy to get into Disneyland right now. I'm really enjoying this. People always say, hey, when's a good time to come to the park? Is January a good time to come to the park? I mean, in our planning guide for February, I said there's no bargains. It's still busy, but obviously it's just a little less dense. It's fractionally less busy, enough to make a difference in the how much you are enjoying your visit. And now again, it's only noon right now, so we have plenty of opportunity for things to get out of hand. But this is so far very delightful. Oh look, they've got a little, what is that? A cheetah, a leopard, posted on. Oh, it looks like it's closed. I can't even give you an update on the first attraction. Our first update is no update. Jungle Cruise is down, although it's not likely that it'll be down for very long. This is not the kind of attraction that goes down for very long when it does. Looks like they're all queued up though. Mango barbecue was right next door. 65 minutes for Indiana Jones. About standard. That's actually quite a bit of wait, considering how not busy it is right now. 65 minutes. I feel like I haven't seen the Columbia on the Rivers of America in weeks. But then again, I haven't been here for like 10 days. "45 minutes for Pirates of the Caribbean." This is so unexpected. Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Hey. I was not expecting. The way that this opened up, I was feeling like I was expecting maybe 20, 25 minutes for Pirates, but good for you, Pirates of the Caribbean. It just feels okay. I have to maybe already retract my feelings. Well, that's not 45 minutes, is it? There's the back of the line right there. There's no way that's 45 unless they are crossing the street here. So it's extended a little bit, but I still don't. That's a quick 45 if it is 45. I have to wonder. You know what? Let's take a left. We hardly ever get to do this. But I want to go down Royal Street. We'll head back this way. Hi, how are you? Loving sitting on the rail here at Cafe Orleans. Perhaps the best restaurant in all of Disneyland. Well, it is when they are serving shrimp and grits. I love shrimp and grits. But they're not anymore. It's off the menu, so I may have to retract my statement that Cafe Orleans is the best restaurant.
Hey.
Hi.
No praying.
Jack is holding court back there in the Royal Courtyard. I mean,
Are you joking?
getting a little difficult to negotiate the backside of New Orleans Square. Still busy, guys. Yep. You may have seen our construction update. This whole thing that's up there. That construction wall and scrim is up there because that building caught fire about a week ago. I've heard that it was nothing major. It was electrical, a little too many things plugged into one outlet, and it just sparked a little bit and caught fire. And the reason why it got to the point, the way it did, or the height that it did, was simply because there weren't a lot of people around to notice it. So it was able to spread. But then once they found it, they were able to put it out. Now's the time to ride Haunted Mansion, I guess. This is going to be staying open for an extra, 3 weeks? I want to say, 4 weeks, almost an extra month. Not going to close until the end of January, January 30th. They're accounting for Indiana Jones, 40-minute standby right now. And I would be surprised if it's even that long, considering it's just the one switch back here.
First pay.
Hey guys. I mean, this really is a time to visit, even though it's, like I said, I've seen pockets of crowds and density. It's still, as we kind of make our way through, we're feeling very casual, very comfortable. There's no line so far that I really felt scared of. I mean, Indiana Jones at 65 is probably not great. I'm looking at Splash Mountain right now, and that's 60 minutes, which is shocking because it's not exactly a warm day. It's kind of a chill day here. It's weird. I took about 5 minutes to get some B-roll throughout New Orleans Square and come back and look at the sign, and it went from 60 minutes to 25 minutes. I have no idea which one is more accurate. How is that even possible? What is the confluence of events that would cause it Splash Mountain on a hot day to get to 60 minutes and then immediately drop down to 25 minutes? I'm almost positive that the correct time is closer to 25 minutes, though. When I saw that 60, I was kind of surprised, considering it pays to, you could start with the tip board, but it pays to actually go put eyes on an attraction on the queue and use your own judgment to figure out if you think it's that kind of time frame. It gets more complicated because of Lightning Lane, because a 25-minute, or a queue that looks like it would be 25 minutes may not be if there's a bunch of people using Lightning Lane. But today, no, I don't think that's the case here. Splash Mountain, 25 minutes sounds about right. No posted wait time here at Winnie the Pooh. But yeah, that's a 20 minute wait. They're actually, what happened is that the attraction probably closed because typically what happens is when Splash Mountain goes down, all the guests tend to filter over to Winnie the Pooh while they're waiting for that attraction to open. And while they're here, they just jump in this one because it's quick and easy. Because that's too long. That queue's too long for where it should be. This time of day, this time of crowd, that's too long. So that's probably what happens. Splash Mountain's closed for a minute. Hi! So while we make our way from Critter Country to Galaxy's Edge, just what is the current state of Disneyland, separate from the conversation about the crowds and the wait times here in the park. It's an interesting scenario in so much as there is no state. Nothing. There's been very little news, with respect to what's happening at Disneyland. Anything, changes, or the Iger thing has just been very quiet. Iger, have not heard anything from Bob Iger in a couple of weeks. Not since we did the last video about Bob vs. Bob. I can't remember anything of consequence happening in the news with respect to what's happening at Disneyland, even the Disney company, really, to talk to broaden that conversation. Disneyland is what it's been. There have been no changes, no changes in terms of operations that I've noticed. Reservation system is still trugging along. Genie Plus is still plowing through. They had a nice little winning streak there with regard to attendance during the winter break for annual pass holders. Genie Plus was selling out. That was an amazing story by itself, that they actually 3 days running, they sold out of Genie Plus. And that's the days after Christmas, the 3 days after Christmas, which was just kind of surprising. Those are probably the busiest days of the year in any park. We were in Universal the day after Christmas, and it was insane that day. But, just in terms of waiting for something to happen, well, that's what we're doing. We're just kind of waiting. We're waiting to see what is going to change here at Disneyland with the new, leadership, with Iger in charge now. The expectation is that it should, right? You think, because if they're not happy with Bob Chapek to the tune of firing him, to the tune of it costing them, $25 million or more, then he must have been doing some really bad stuff. They must have been really unhappy with him. So, you know, then that means changes have to happen as well. And you gotta think, I gotta think, that a large part of that is parks related. It's not just, you know, Disney Plus or the studios or things like that. It's got to include Disneyland. So we're all just kind of standing around here waiting. Meanwhile, Disneyland is still great. That's the good thing, is that Disneyland is still great. It'll be great, or it was great before Chapek got here, and it'll be great after that. And that's something that we have been maintaining while we were, you know, enduring that era, is that Disneyland doesn't have an opinion on any of that stuff. As a park, as a place, Disneyland doesn't have an opinion on any of the politics or anything like that. It's just an awesome place to be, and that has continued and will continue here for all time. Business as usual. As we check out the crowds here at Rise of the Resistance, I'm going to guess that this is probably an 80-minute standby. That's just a guess using my eyeballs. I will take a peek behind me when we get to the whiteboard. I can't tell if that says 85 or 65. Well, it says 85. You can't tell because the frame rate is weird on the phone. I cannot adjust the frame rate in order to show digital boards very well, but it said 85. 85 minutes for Rise of the Resistance. I literally cannot walk through Galaxy's Edge anymore without thinking about Tatooine Sunset. And we're going to hold out. So I'm actually going to get some lunch. Ooh, I got to look at that. We're going to get some lunch and look at the tip board here in a little bit. But let's walk through the marketplace. The marketplace is a nice little place to gauge crowd density. It's a choke point. Sometimes I'm astonished by how uncrowded it is, and other times I'm astonished by how crowded it is. It's really weird.
We're gonna go with a splash pad. We are with the yellow.
Is the dialogue new? There's a conversation happening up there in what I would imagine to be, I don't know, are those apartments up there or something? I feel like I don't remember there being dialogue throughout the marketplace. This is not busy. Look at that. There's nobody here. There's nobody at the critter shop. I don't even know what they call this one. Hi, how are you? Hi, guys. Katsaka's, you know, they don't do a lot of business. Hi, guys. At Katsaka's. Although the empanada looking thing is pretty delicious there. You guys should try that if it's still there.
It's easy to show.
45-minute standby for Smuggler's Run. A lot of energy here right now. Galaxy's Edge is happening today. There's Chewbacca! Chewbacca is a Wookiee for the people. couldn't help myself. While I was in the neighborhood, I dropped into Docking Bay 7 there. Got a little bit of that impossible lamb kefta. My favorite meal in the park at present. It's delicious as always. I love Docking Bay 7. Their food there is always great. And while we're here in Galaxy's Edge, let's take a minute. It's a place where I usually wind up doing this. Let's take a minute to look at the tip board to see what the wait times are like and what Lightning Lane. How is it going with Genie Plus right now? Okay, Alice in Wonderland, 45 minutes. That seems kind of high. Astral Orbiter, 30 standard. Autopia, 35 standard, with a return time of 40 minutes for Lightning Lane. That's better than average. I mean, in terms of, it's busier than average, I would say, for Autopia. Big Thunder is closed. Buzz Lightyear, 35 and 210 standard. Casey Jr., 20 minutes. Let's see. Dumbo, 30 minutes. I mean, this is just a regular day. Finding Nemo, 25. That's a little low. Haunted Mansion Holiday, 50 and 205. The return time there is kind of low. During the holiday season, the proper holiday season, you would see that be 4 or 5 hours. It is actually only 35 minutes. Less time than you would have to wait for Autopia. Indiana Jones, 40 minutes. There we go. Indiana Jones is just always busy. 3 hours and 15-minute wait for Lightning Lane and a 40-minute standby. Don't use it here. For those of you who are looking for advice on Genie Plus and Lightning Lane, this is a scenario where I would say just get in the standby lane, because your Lightning Lane experience is not going to be much better than that 40 minutes. It's about where they merge. It's about 30 minutes, whether or not you have a Lightning Lane. So you're saving 10 minutes with that, but you're waiting 3 hours and you're costing yourself, a slot in your Lightning Lane windows. Small World, 30 minutes. Return time in almost an hour. So that, again, that's greater than what we saw for Haunted Mansion. Where was I? It's a Small World. That's where I was. Jungle Cruise is back online. 40 minutes. Tea Party, 15. That's one rotation or two, maybe. Winnie the Pooh, 20. Matterhorn, strong, 60 minutes. I love seeing the Matterhorn at 60 minutes and 3.5 hours for a return time, because it just goes to show you how good the classics are, and we don't need a bunch of new rides in here. These attractions are doing just great as they are. Smuggler's Run, where we're standing now, Millennium Falcon, 75-minute standby, which does jive with what I'm seeing, and a return time of just over an hour. Mr. Toad's 30 minutes, Peter Pan 45, Pinocchio 20, Pirates is closed, that's too bad. Snow White 35, we're going to be walking by there soon to check in on Peter Pan and Snow White. Space Mountain is an hour-ish with a 3-hour return time, almost 4. Strong, classic, Space Mountain, no IP. Matterhorn, Space Mountain, no IP, the two busiest attractions in the park. Disney, when are you going to get it? Splash Mountain is almost an hour. They're back up. Wow, it's actually it's getting a little toasty here too, so it's not chilly anymore. Star Tours 35 and return time of now. Rise is 80. They're not selling Lightning Lane at present, and that's it. You know what? Actually, what I want to do also, let's check out mobile order, because we're in the neighborhood of when people are eating. You can get Docking Bay almost now. There's a now. Bengal is 40 minutes. Docking Bay is 15 now. French Market, 45 minutes. Galactic Grill now. Most of these are now. I'm looking at this because the more nows you see, that means it's not too busy, it's not too difficult to get a mobile order. That's a pretty good sign. What I'm seeing here is pretty good. The longest waits I've seen so far are 20-30 minutes. 2:15, that's the longest one. And then Tulip Bar for beignets, 45 minutes. Rancho's a half an hour. Guys, use mobile order, please. Please use mobile order. What did we learn? What have we discerned from that tour of the tip board? It's not crowded today. It's not very busy, which it shouldn't be in January. But you're not getting much of a bargain in terms of waiting for attractions. The queues, the lines for the attractions are still about where they would normally be, give or take, 10 or 15 minutes. But it's not like you could just walk onto a bunch of attractions. It's still plenty busy here to make that part of your day a little bit more complicated. The relief that you're getting, the break that you get from visiting in January is just the crowd density, the intensity of things, which we're going to, as we wrap up this show, touring Fantasyland, Tomorrowland, and Frontierland, we'll see more of that. But as we progress through the lands, that's kind of the message that I'm getting here, or that we're getting in the park, is that not bad. I mean, it's just pleasant. It's nice. It's comfortable. It's relaxing. Let's go to Fantasyland. 55 minutes, by the way, for Space Mountain, which is about what we saw on the tip board when we looked at it earlier. I mean, that's the way Space Mountain should be. Space Mountain should be busy every day, always, just like Indiana Jones. There's no breaks. There's no discounts for Space Mountain on any day. I mean, 45 minutes is a pretty good day on Space Mountain. You know what I'm saying? 40 minutes for Buzz Lightyear, although there's nobody in the Lightning Lane queue right now. It's about the time of day when we shoot these, we're almost always here at the same time. This is about the time of day when there's a bunch of people who consider they're late, and it's like one of the only ones they have left is Buzz Lightyear, so you wind up using that one last. Same for Star Tours. That's at 30 minutes right now. Standby queue is into the extended interior queue. But that's not a 40-minute queue at all right there, if the Lightning Lane situation stays the same. That's more like 30. Ba-da-da-da-da. We'll cross through the hub on our way to Frontierland. Give Walt a mental high five. And Mickey, of course. Thanks, you too. Love you. I'm gonna miss that music a little bit. Then I'm not. I'm ready for some classic Disneyland. When the middle of January rolls in and they've taken down all the holiday decorations, it's one of the few times of the year when you get a pure, unfiltered Disneyland. There's no events going on, no theming, no overlays, nothing. They start, that'll kick back up again in spring for Easter and Valentine's Day. But yeah, for the half of January, and then about maybe half of February, I would say, you get second half of February, that is. You just get an unfiltered Disneyland. It's kind of nice.
Yeah.
Looks like Big Thunder's closed, so we won't be able to evaluate the queue. But I've got the perfect solution to that quandary. Mark Twain's about ready to pull into the dock here. We'll take a ride around the rivers of America, get a long view of New Orleans Square, and by the time we get back, if we're lucky, Big Thunder will be back up again, and then we'll call it a day. I don't think I've ever seen that before. An empty, a ghost Mark Twain just rolled up. That's wild. I don't think I've ever seen that. I mean, I'm sure it happens, but I've just never witnessed it. I'm wondering now if they are even going to load them. It looks like they're getting ready to, but they're hesitant, unsure. Where are you all going? There's some fans right there. Hi, guys. Where do you think they're going? Do you think they're going to Haunted Mansion?
The graceful Missouri of the Windsor
Pirates,
and the rugged Rio Grande.
Galaxy's Edge.
Texas and Michigan.
Where are you going?
I'll be sure to point out interesting sights along the way, and even tell you about the legend or two.
Wait time is down to 30 minutes for Pirates. Look at that, no queue on the bridge even. It's just this exterior switchback right there. That's 20 minutes, not 30. I know I've counted. But the crowd looks pretty light, actually, standard to light. You always see empty space here, but not back there typically. You guys find yourself thinking about the missing steps back there? I don't. I thought I would, but I don't. And I feel bad that I don't, because I wish I did. Oh, look how happy all these folks are. Because I preach reverence. I preach, respect for the history of the park. And I talk about how much I would miss this or that. And here I am saying that, it doesn't bother me too much that they're not there. So maybe Disneyland's right sometimes in some of the decisions that they make. Even though we cry foul. Look at that big smile. There should be a rivalry between the Columbia and the Mark Twain. I'm really nervous about this though. The upcoming remodel for Splash Mountain to Tiana's Bayou Adventure. I'm really hoping they don't touch it, but I have justifiable fears that they will. Which, will I miss it if they do? Will I be over here, in 2 years talking about how I don't miss it? I don't know, man. This channel was built on that secret path practically. A little bit of a wait for Davy Crockett canoes. Are they waiting for boats? Oh, there's one. There's a canoe right there. There's no canoes in dock.
You might want to grab a paddle. Try your hand at the Explorer canoes. You can work up a real good sweat rowing one of those around the river. Me, I'll take the comfort of the Mark Twain River.
I've been advised that Wing is retiring from Disneyland this week. You guys know Cousin Wing, right? Everybody's so wavy today. So many waivers. I love it. You ever wave anybody while you're driving on the 405? For no reason whatsoever. I'd like to see that make that happen out in the real world. Just wave at people when you pass by them. Well, it looks like Big Thunder never did recover while we spent that 30 minutes or so on the Mark Twain. So that's a casualty of our day. We won't be able to report on Big Thunder, which, by the way, not too bad as far as rides being down today. I think, what was it? We saw Jungle Cruise was down for a minute. And then there's the Big Thunder, which has been down for probably about an hour or so now. I heard the Columbia had an incident. They had to actually deboard the Columbia in the middle of the river. They had to roll up a Tom Sawyer raft, and then they got a ladder from the raft to the Columbia. People had to climb down and get on the raft to take that back to dock. So we'll add that to the list of attractions that are casualties today. And I think I saw one other when we were on the tip board. So, but still, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. I hear reports all the time of numbers in the dozens. 10, 12, 13 different attractions down at varying points, in the afternoon. So that's pretty good. I'll take that.
Yeah, we did. Okay.
Hi guys. Hi.
Nothing else special. Make my little baby.
I love to hear the distant sound of the Disneyland band. And the Dapper Dans, like that as well. Hearing them off in the distance like that, it's very comforting. And that's our show, guys. That's our State of Disneyland report for this January 2023. Happy New Year, everybody. I hope you guys enjoy the show. I think that our consensus here is that, as I've said a couple times, it's slower, certainly, than it is in other months of the year, other seasons, definitely, but it's not exactly showing up in the wait times. The wait times are still pretty consistent, what they are throughout the year, although you don't see anything like the 90-minute type variety of stuff, but you know, still pushing an hour for Indiana Jones, Space Mountain, and you know, rides like the Matterhorn, etc. But it's more casual, more comfortable, less intense. Hi guys. Crowd density is a little less. It's pleasant. It's nice. So stay tuned for more from Fresh Baked. But this is our last report from Disneyland for a little bit. We're on our way to Disney World in 2 days. We're going to fly out on Sunday, spend a week in Florida, report from Universal Studios and from all of the major parks at Walt Disney World. Hope you guys can stay tuned for that. And then follow us on Instagram at _FreshBaked, on Twitter at FreshBakedDisney, that's Fresh with no E, and on TikTok at FreshBakedDisney. And if you like our show and want to show your support, please do consider joining our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/freshbaked. Otherwise, thanks again for watching, everybody. We love you. Be safe out there. Be kind to one another. Fresh Baked.